Marshall, roll call please.
Mrs. Denny?
Here.
Mrs. Essler? Here. Ms. Hilferty? Here. Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Powell?
Here.
Mr. Seesaw?
Here.
Mrs. Stone?
Here.
Mr. Tinsley?
Here.
Mr. Armour?
Here. 2.01 is approval of minutes. Motion is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting February 27th, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 2.02 is invoice listing. Motion is to approve the invoice listing for February through March 2019. Do I have this motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 2.03 is the treasurer's report. Ms. Powell.
As of January 31st, 2019, Pendoco's balance was $42,316,228. During February 2019, local, state, and federal revenues totaled $2,103,261. Disbursements were issued in the amount of $5,511,297. As of February 28th, 2019, Pendoco's current balance is $38,908,193. The motion is to approve the treasurer's report for February 2019. Do I have this motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. 2.04 is budget transfer report. Motion to approve the budget transfer report for February 2019. Do I have this motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, I'll turn over to Dr. Steinhoff.
Thank you, Mr. Armour. It's always a pleasure to take some time at each monthly board meeting to recognize outstanding achievement. And in this district, we typically try to spend some time recognizing excellence in academic achievement, excellence in artistic achievement, excellence in athletic achievement. And tonight, we have a couple of our fantastic athletes from Sun Valley. There have been some years, given the quality of our athletic conference, the size of other schools, and the generally smaller size of Sun Valley, where athletics have sometimes been a challenge. This is not one of those years. In what I keep calling the year of the Valley, great news continues to come out of Sun Valley. And particularly this past sports season, we saw a lot of great news. Next month, we will likely have our boys basketball team here to recognize them for some incredible achievements. But we also have individual achievements that really, really stood out to us. And tonight, we want to recognize Hunter and Keeley. We have our athletic director here, Mr. Rafferty, who has been doing a superb job in his role. And we asked him to come and say a few words. We would afterwards like to present a certificate to both of these great scholar athletes, wonderful representatives of the community. And I also wanted to point out to both of them that the main piece to this, we recognize it doesn't compete with the medals that you have, but the main piece to this is that the community and the elected representatives are saying, you stood out. Job well done. It's proof that when you set your goals high and you work hard, you accomplish them, great things happen. And you will be a part of the board minutes, officially part of the record for years and years to come. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rafferty, who will come up. And also, Mr. Rafferty, as you're heading up, we want to thank you for some Sun Valley spirit wear that magically appeared here tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's a real honor to be here tonight to introduce to you two of our best and brightest student athletes at Sun Valley. These two that we're honoring tonight are not only the best at what they do athletically, but they are also leaders in the classroom and throughout the Penn-Delco community. They represent the best of Sun Valley and the entire Penn-Delco community, and we are proud of all their accomplishments. Our first student athlete that we will recognize is Keely Durkin. Keely is a junior. Keely is a junior on our swim and dive team, and in her 3 seasons on our swim team, she has worked herself into being one of the best swimmers in our school's history. Keely swims year-round for Sun Valley and also for her club team. Keely has been a district qualifier all 3 years here at Sun Valley. She is a fierce competitor with such high expectations for herself and her team. At the beginning of the season, in her goal-setting meeting with Coach Doroshenko, Keely set a goal of making states for both the 200 free and the 500 free. Despite a 3-week absence from the pool due to a painful rib injury that most likely would have ended the season of most swimmers, Keely fought through the pain and got back to swimming in time for districts at LaSalle University. She had a terrific swim at districts, and because of the great races there, she was able to achieve her goal of qualifying for states in the 200 and 500 freestyle. The first female swimmer to qualify states at Sun Valley since 1988. Not only did Keely just qualify for states, but she made the finals in the 500 and finished in 15th place in the entire state of Pennsylvania. In the last 2 years, Keely has broken many school records. She was a member of the record-setting 200 medley relay last year. She broke the 200 free relay this year, the 200 free and also the 500 free record that Sun Valley held. Keely had an awesome year. We can't wait to see what's in store for her next year. Congrats, Keely, and to Coach Doroshenko. Next up, we have Hunter Katka. Hunter is a junior on our wrestling team. As a freshman, Hunter had a 34-7 record. He finished second at sectionals, third at districts, and qualified for the state tournament. Last year as a sophomore, Hunter racked up a 41-1 record. He finished first in sections, first at districts, first at regions, and also became the first Sun Valley wrestler to take home the gold at the PA State Championships. This past year, Hunter battled through injury that he suffered over the summer to compile a 17-1 record. And despite all the time off the mat recovering, he still took first at sections, first at regions, and he earned the bronze medal in the state tournament at Hershey this year. That bronze made him the first Sun Valley wrestler to medal in back-to-back years at the state tournament. In his 3 years combined at Sun Valley, Hunter has accumulated an amazing 92-9 record. He has worked tirelessly to make himself into one of the top-ranked wrestlers in the entire country. A quick story to give you an insight into the type of competitor that Hunter is. I saw Hunter the Monday after a grueling 3-day state wrestling tournament and asked him what his plans were for the off-season, how much time he planned on taking off. He said, I'll take off for the week and get back at it on Monday. That quick exchange tells you all you need to know about his work ethic both on the mat and in the classroom. He's a true gentleman and can't wait to see what his future holds. Hunter, Coach Tom Ellis, come on up. Congratulations.
Kevin asked if he could say a few words.
Go ahead.
I made sure I had a script so I don't go on a babble on or on a tangent. I will anyway. As I would tell anyone who would listen, the apple doesn't fall from the tree. Meaning the Kakas come from a great family that I had the pleasure to know. Hunter, he's admired by many. Yes, because of wrestling. For example, my son watches YouTube and the Flow Wrestling videos of Hunter at least weekly because I see it always on my iPad. Because one day he wants to be like him. 4 youth wrestlers even drove all the way up to Hershey, not only to support Coach Tommy, but to watch Hunter at the States. But Hunter's also a student athlete that not only Penn-Delco has a pleasure to have, but the world is to have. So even just for all the wrestlers in the program and even for the district. So thank you, Hunter, for being a model student athlete and for what we want as far as we look as there's 3,000 plus students that we have in our school that we want to be. So thank you.
Let me also take a moment, kind of as a former high school coach, I definitely feel obligated to recognize and add to what Mr. Rapp said from Coach Ellis and Coach Doroshenko. Coach Doroshenko, in fact, rushed back from a track meet, I understand, or track practice, to be here tonight. But particularly with individual sports, the the work of the coaches is so important. How they time their practices, how they motivate them. And when they go into battle, it's them and it's the coach, and there's really nobody else to rely on, particularly when you're in an individual sport. So hats off to the coaches as well, and we really appreciate your efforts. And you'll be remembered by these kids for many, many years to come for your work with them as well, too. So thank you as well.
Number 4, student representatives report to the board.
So this year's Sun Valley Unified Bocce team placed third at state at the state championship in Hershey. This is the third year in a row that Bocce has placed in the top 3 at state. The play this year was tripping, and with all the hard work the casting crew put in, it was a big success. The seniors a couple weeks ago had their mock interviews to practice what an actual interview in the real world is like. Some of the volunteers noted that this year's class did very well and were very prepared for all the questions asked. Yesterday was the last day to register for the AP test coming up in May. Now the students just have to review and prepare for the test. And lastly, spring sports started up a couple weeks ago. There's been a lot of success so far with the girls softball beating Unionville, the girls lacrosse beating Academy Park, and boys lacrosse beating Bonner County.
Also spring sports, boys tennis. Big win over Bonner, just letting you guys know. And, as you said, it definitely was a year to remember for Sun Valley sports in the winter. As the boys basketball team won a share of the Chestnut title as well as the District 1 5A championship. On top of this, they made it all the way to the Elite 8 during the PIAA 5A state playoffs, which is like insane actually to think about. The atmosphere for the game at the Temple was absolutely crazy, and I'm sure this is something none of them or any of us are going to forget for a while. And I could go on and rant about Keely and Hunter together, but I mean, you guys already talked about them really. But I just want to say, like, honestly, other than athletes, they're terrific people and wonderful students, and I'm honestly proud to call them both my friends. Other than athletics, the sophomore dance was on March 1st, and it was a really good time for everyone in attendance. And this past week, our art students toured Delaware County Community College, while the social studies students and journalism students went to Washington, D.C. I actually didn't get to go on either of the trips, but what I've heard from my peers, both of the trips were really good times, and both of the groups definitely learned a lot, and it's something they would like to do again in the future.
Any questions for our student reps? A lot happening at the Valley. Ms. Green, Mr. Mark, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great report as always.
Number 5 is superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Armour. We have a guest speaker here tonight that we yield some time to during my superintendent's report. Initially, we had State Representative Leanne Kruger scheduled to come. She called me about 4:15 and said she was still in Harrisburg. The legislators were in session this week. They are in session this week. Unable to attend. However, here for her is Carrie Emhoff from her office, and Representative Kruger has often asked to come out and have an opportunity to talk to the board members, but particularly to say thank you for your service. I'm going to yield some time. Carrie as well, and you're welcome to come up. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much. Again, my name is Carrie Emhoff, and I am a legislative assistant for Representative Kruger, and I am here on her behalf. And I am going to read to you guys the resolution that was passed in the House on January 14th of this year in honor of School Board Recognition Week. And then I also actually have some certificates that I would like to hand out to you guys as well. Okay, so this was House Resolution number 29, and it was introduced under Rule 35 on January 14th of 2019. The resolution states that it's designating the month of January 2019 as School Director Recognition Month in Pennsylvania. Local school districts and their governing boards were established by the General Assembly more than 150 years ago. And public education is mandated by Section 14 of Article 3 of the Constitution of Pennsylvania. And school board members govern individual school districts, establish local policies, approve educational programs, provide necessary physical facilities, hire properly certified professional and classified employees, and share in costs by raising necessary local funds along with state funds to operate district educational programs. Being an effective school board director is a difficult task, particularly in the current climate of the school change. A school director must be knowledgeable about many complex educational and social issues. School board service is a pure form of grassroots democratic involvement upon which our republic was founded. Local public school directors are dedicated, educated, and responsible citizens who carry out voluntary public service, a classic example of representative government in our democracy. And this copy of the resolution did go to the House of in Pennsylvania, and a copy was also transmitted to the Pennsylvania School Board Directors Association. So thank you for letting me read the resolution tonight, and I would also like to pass out some certificates to the school board directors tonight as well. So can I just come around and bring them to you? All right, great, thank you.
Thanks again, Ms. Emhoff.
Thank
Certainly
you.
appreciate that, and I'll be in touch with representatives as well as the
Great,
legislative.
thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I want to take a little bit of time to hand out another certificate. This is a special certificate. We were notified, and I'm pleased to inform the school board, that the Pennsylvania School Public Relations Association gave Pendelco several awards. Pendelco received the Award of Excellence for the video that showed our Aramark partnership, our summer job pilot program that we showed to you during the summertime, that did such a phenomenal job showing the partnership that Pendelco has for some of our special needs students with Aramark and the job experiences that they had last summer. The School Public Relations Association deemed that to deserve an Award of Excellence, that video itself. They also awarded a Digital Media Award of Honor for 2 pictures that graced our website at different times last year. First, that many of you may remember, because it was up for quite some time, was a picture of 2 students at Aston participating in Pinwheels for Peace. There were 2 about 4th grade girls actually putting the pinwheels down near the sign at Aston. It's a wonderful activity that happens every year, and that picture really captured the joy and the energy and the sensitivity of why we did that event. The other picture was of Lion King, which was an incredible performance. And to have a picture and a photo that kind of showed the joy of the performers, the joy of the middle school students who did such a phenomenal job with costume, with acting. It just was an incredible picture. So there's 3 awards for Pendelco, but the one thing that they all have in common is that the person behind the camera was Joey DeCamilla, who was here tonight doing that kind of thing. So the board thought we should not give you the standard one because you've seen it, but actually a picture of the 3 awards that you have, and we would like to present this to you, Joe.
Thank you.
So we'll push that news out by social media and on our webpage again so people can see some of those images, but we wanted to wait to announce that until tonight's board meeting. Later in the agenda, we have a resolution that the school board will be asked to adopt. Those of you who follow our board meetings closely recognize that we don't ordinarily just bring resolutions out and just pass them for the sake of passing them. It really has to have some significant meaning. And we are recommending that our legislators advocate for common sense cyber charter school funding reform. In Delaware County alone, school districts will be paying close to $20 million in cyber tuition. That was based on 2017 data. We anticipate that number will increase by about 15 to 20%. couple of facts that I'd like to bring to the attention of the public. It's important to recognize that even though the signs say free tuition, charter schools are funded by local tax dollars that are paid to them as tuition from school districts. Parents choose to have their child go to a cyber charter school, we still pay them. If parents choose to send their child to a Catholic school or to a private school, they pay that tuition. But if parents choose to send their child to a cyber school, we still pay them. So taxpayers are on the hook for the cost of that decision. Charter school tuition rates are not based on what it costs the charter school to educate its students, but on the per-student expenditure of the school district from which the students come. Charter school tuition for regular education ranges from about $7,300 per student to upwards of $28,000 per student, depending upon the district, for the same product. Charter school tuition for special ed students can actually come close to $40,000. In cyber charter schools where the costs are just less than $5,000 per student, far less than the cost in traditional public schools or brick and mortar charter schools, this wastes over $250 million in tax dollars in our state every year. When a student and his or her tuition go to a cyber charter school, not all of the student's costs leaves the public school. This has an adverse fiscal effect on our school districts, often causing them to cut services or having to raise tax rates to pay for that. Both problems, wasteful spending and adverse impact on the remaining students, are being exacerbated by the rapid growth of cyber charter schools. We are asking that our legislators will support the adoption of common sense funding reforms. Pennsylvania school districts can save, again, more than $250 million a year that should go back to the districts or to the taxpayers who are funding them. A couple other quick items. I know we're a little bit behind tonight. Very late this afternoon, we got word that our own Coburn Elementary placed second place in the Delaware County DCIU STEM competition. 100 schools participated, 100 teams, 357 students, and it was Coburn Elementary in their first year of participation that took home a second place, so congratulations to them. We just got that good news very late this afternoon. Reading Olympics, the Delaware County Reading Olympics will be held at Norfolk Middle School next week for 3 nights. We're expecting hundreds and hundreds of parents and visitors and volunteers from throughout the region. Very happy that Norfolk is hosting that event, and Delaware always does extremely well in Reading Olympics. I also want to point out that our 3-year special education plan is currently being edited and finalized. We want to thank Regina McClure for the work that she's been putting in on this almost, I think, 83-page document. Once we have that completely edited and put together, that information will be posted on the website for public comment, for board approval, in future board meetings. That concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stodman. Number 6, announcements to the public. In accordance with Act 48, Sunshine Law, the board met in executive session tonight to discuss personnel and litigation matters. Public comments? No. Number 10, items for board review, starts on page 2, carries to page 3, 4, and midway through page 5. This references the Pendelco Budget 2018-2019, Act 93 plans, PDEA agreement, PDSPA agreement, PDSSPA agreement, and the PA School Code Section 1108B. It is the administrative recommendation to approve all personnel items as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Tonight, the board will utilize the consent agenda. If any board members wish to have a consent item removed, please. Okay. Say no. So I'll need a motion to approve 10.03 through through 10.16. All contracts, preparations, and solicitations of bids are subject to review and solicitor's approval. Do I have this motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any comments by members of the public? Seeing none. Comments by members of the board?
This goes to Sean. It's related to, at least the agenda item 1013. I didn't have a chance to say it in the back. So I just want to say thanks for continuing to keep an open dialogue with a lot of our union organizations. We've been doing it for years, quite frankly, to save a lot of the, just the little lunch meetings, so to speak, or, just little one-on-ones or whatever, and see what they need and be able to have the open dialogue with the union orgs in our district. It's, quite frankly, been helpful even for the board. So I didn't have a chance to say that in the back, and that's similar to Mr. Marshall. That's another hole that we would want to look into the next person as well, to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Future meetings, Wednesday, April 10th will be the study session, and then we will continue Wednesday, 24th with the business meeting. Note that for the study session is different due to Easter. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.